One of the biggest issues right now with kindergarten through 12th grade is that it's become a star-shaped cookie cutter. For most of us, we don't need to know who the 14th president was. We don't need to know when the Canterbury Tales were written. We don't need to know the capital of Uruguay. At the same time that we've been overloading and burdening our students with irrelevant information, we've been cutting back on the things that they do truly need. Now, a lot of the reason that we have cut back on things like home economics and vocational studies is this age of convenience that we have. We don't need to know how to cook, we don't need to know how to sew, because if a garment gets beat up and old, you just throw it out, go get a new one. We don't need to cook because everything's in these prepared little containers. It's pre-cooked meal. It's not just that we don't need to know how to do it, it's a matter of we don't want to know how to do it. The 1970s, 1960s as well, all the way through, really saw this women's liberation movement, this feminism that struck the nation, where women realized they could go out, they could be anything that a man could be, they could do all these great things. And when that wound up happening, they looked at the old lives, the lives of oppression, where a woman's place was in the home. The woman had to be that homemaker, knowing how to cook, knowing how to sew, taking home economics. That was women's work, that was women's studies. And as soon as this new feminism came about, this strong woman, they started viewing the kitchen as a place of oppression, this ball and chain that men just expected them to be in and do these household things. Well, with women breaking away from that, and rightly so, they stopped all these great recipes that came from the grandmother to the mother to the daughter, all these great tricks and tips for the kitchen use. And the companies, the corporations stepped in and said, hey, you don't want to do it? Here, buy our stuff, it's pre-made. But this demonizing of home economics as simply women's work has taken away our abilities, our talents, our knowledge in the home, to the point where most of us flounder in some way or another unless our family was a strong social unit. Likewise, we primarily saw the vocational studies as something dumb, male students would wind up getting into because they weren't going to be able to cut it in college, and it was mainly men's work. It was loud, it was dirty, it was smelly, and that's what the men did. Schools have become just babysitters that kids don't want to go to. The kids don't want to go to school. The parents have to send them to school, otherwise they're going to be in trouble. The teachers go into the schools thinking that they'll be able to help the kids. The kids don't want to be there anyways. The parents don't have enough time or energy to keep on forcing the kids to go to school or be able to help with the information that the teachers gave to the students, because the parents don't understand the information that the teachers are originally given to them and they were students. Good times, huh? Essentially, what educational reform is going to come down to is, first and foremost, doing away with the idea of standardization. Secondly, we need to make sure that each student is receiving an education appropriate for that student, as opposed to for that student's age group, for that student's general ability levels. We need to identify students more clearly and find their strengths